Episode 4. Kenzie didn't sleep that night. She checked the lock 17 times, pushed furniture against the doors, drew the curtains so tightly that not even moonlight could seep through. But it didn't help. She still felt exposed, vulnerable, hunted. At 3 a.m., she finally gave in and texted Alex. "Are you awake?" The response came within seconds. "Always. What's wrong?" Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Where did she even start? How did she explain that she was terrified, that someone was watching them, that she felt like she'd walked into a nightmare she couldn't escape? "Can you come over? I need to show you something." Alex replied, "I'll be there in 2 minutes." It was actually closer to 90 seconds. Kenzie heard his footsteps on the stone pathway, then a gentle knock. "Kenzie, it's me." She opened the door, and the concern on his face nearly broke her. He was in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair mussed like he'd been running his hands through it, and his eyes, those storm-dark eyes, were filled with worry. He took one look at her face and stepped inside, closing the door behind him. "What happened?" Kenzie handed him her phone wordlessly. She watched his expression change as he scrolled through the messages, watched his jaw tighten with each photo, each threat. When he reached the video, the one showing them in the kitchen, his hand in her hair, their lips inches apart, his entire body went rigid. "When did you get these?" His voice was deadly quiet. "Right after you left tonight. After Paul." She swallowed hard. "There's more." She pulled up her banking app with shaking hands. "Someone hacked into my account." Alex's eyes blazed. "Fuck. I don't know who this is. Drew? Bianca? Someone else entirely?" Her voice cracked. "They were outside my window, Alex. They said they were watching me sleep." "Jesus Christ." Alex immediately pulled out his phone and dialed. "Colin? Yeah, I know what time it is. I need you at my house. Now. Someone's been surveilling my property." He paused, listening. "I don't care if you're in bed with your wife. This is an emergency." 20 minutes. He hung up and turned back to Kenzie. His hand lifted like he wanted to reach for her, then dropped. "You're not staying here alone tonight. Pack a bag. You're sleeping in the main house." "Alex, I can't just..." "You can and you will." His tone left no room for argument. "Someone threatened you. Someone is watching you. I am not leaving you alone in this guest house where I can't see you, can't hear you, can't..." He stopped, jaw working. "Please, just for tonight, let me know you're safe." Kenzie wanted to argue, wanted to maintain her independence, prove she could handle this herself. But the truth was, she was terrified, and the thought of Alex being close, the thought of knowing he was just down the hall, made her feel safer than she had in hours. "Okay," she whispered. The main house felt like a fortress after the exposed vulnerability of the guest house. Alex led her upstairs to a bedroom that was twice the size of her entire apartment with Drew. It had its own sitting area, a massive bathroom, and floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the gardens. "The door is locked from the inside," Alex said, setting down her bag. "And I'm right across the hall. If you need anything, and I mean anything, you call me, or just come knock. I won't mind." Kenzie nodded. Alex lingered in the doorway, clearly torn between staying and leaving. "I should let you get some rest." "Alex?" Her voice came out small. "What if they come back? What if they try to..." "They won't be able to." The fierce protectiveness in his voice sent shivers down her spine. "I'll be right outside your door if you need me, and Colin will be here soon with his team to sweep the property and upgrade the security system." His expression softened. "You're safe here, Kenzie. I swear it." She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe. But fear had its claws in her too deeply. "Thank you," she managed, "for everything." Alex's eyes held hers for a long moment, and she saw the war raging in them, the desire to stay, to comfort her, to cross the distance between them. But he'd made a promise to respect boundaries, to keep things professional, even now, when every instinct was clearly screaming at him to hold her. "Good night, Kenzie," he said softly, and closed the door. Kenzie stood there for a long moment, staring at the closed door, feeling the loss of his presence like a physical ache. This was what she'd asked for. Distance. Professionalism. No complicated feelings. So why did it hurt so much? Colin arrived exactly 20 minutes later with a team of 3 security specialists. Kenzie heard the commotion downstairs. She should have stayed in her room, should have let Alex handle it. But she needed to know what was happening, needed to feel less helpless. She found them in Alex's home office. They looked up when Kenzie entered, and Colin's expression softened with sympathy. "Miss Brooks, I'm sorry you're dealing with this. Can you find who's doing it?" she asked. "We're going to try." He gestured to a laptop screen showing multiple camera feeds. "Your property has exterior security cameras, Alex, but someone with the right skills could access them remotely. They've been watching without you knowing." Alex's hands clenched into fists. "How long?" "Hard to say. Could be days. Could be weeks." Colin's expression was grim. "The good news is we can trace the access point. The bad news? Whoever this is, they're smart. They've been routing through multiple proxy servers." "What about the bank account?" Kenzie asked. "That's actually easier to trace. Financial institutions keep detailed logs. We'll need you to file a police report, and we can work with the bank's fraud department to track where the money went." Colin glanced at Alex. "I'm also recommending a full security upgrade. Motion sensors. Better. Cameras, alarm systems. The works." "Do it," Alex said immediately. "I don't care what it costs." "There's one more thing." Colin pulled up something on his laptop. Lines of code that meant nothing to Kenzie. "Someone's been accessing Ms. Brooks's cloud storage. Personal files, photos, documents. They've been inside her digital life for at least 2 weeks." The room spun. 2 weeks? "But I just moved in today." "Which means they had access before you came here," Colin said gently. "This isn't random, Ms. Brooks. Someone's been planning this." "I'm going to be sick," she whispered as she sank into one of the leather chairs, her legs suddenly unable to hold her weight. Alex was at her side instantly, kneeling in front of her chair. "Breathe, Kenzie. Just breathe." Colin cleared his throat diplomatically. "I'll give you 2 a moment. My team will sweep the exterior grounds and start the installation. We'll work through the night if we have to." He left, closing the door behind him, and suddenly the office felt very small, very intimate. Alex was still kneeling in front of her, still holding her hands. Their faces were inches apart. She could see the flecks of darker blue in his gray eyes, could count his eyelashes if she wanted to, could feel his breath on her skin. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I know." His thumbs traced circles on the backs of her hands. "But you're not alone. Whatever this is, whoever this is, we'll face it together." "Why?" The question came out before she could stop it. "Why do you care so much? I'm just your chef." Something flashed across Alex's face. Hurt, maybe, or frustration. "Is that really what you think? That you're just an employee to me?" "I don't know what I am to you." Her voice broke. "I don't know what any of this is. You say you want to help, but Bianca said, and Paul said, and everyone keeps warning me." He flinched like she'd slapped him. "You believe them?" "I don't know what to believe." She pulled her hands free. "Everything's happened so fast. 1 week ago, I was with Drew. 5 days ago, I met you. And now someone's stalking me, and you're..." "I'm what?" "Too much," she whispered. "You're too much. Too protective. Too intense. Too everything. And I can't handle it, Alex. I can't handle you looking at me like what?" His voice was rough. "Like I matter." Alex stared at her, and the emotion in his eyes nearly broke her. "Kenzie," he said carefully, "you do matter. You matter so much it scares the hell out of me. Don't." She stood abruptly, needing to move, needing space. "Don't say things like that. We agreed to keep this professional, to maintain boundaries." "Fuck the boundaries." Alex stood too, frustration evident in every line of his body. "Someone is threatening you, stalking you, violating your privacy and your safety in my property. Forgive me for caring about that. Forgive me for wanting to protect you." "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" He stepped closer, and Kenzie's back hit the desk. "Because from where I'm standing, it feels like you're trying to push me away. Like you're looking for excuses to put walls between us. Maybe I am." Her voice shook. "Maybe I need walls. Maybe I need to protect myself from whatever this is before it destroys me. This? Alex echoed. You can't even name it. Because I don't know what to call it. She was shouting now, all her fear and confusion and attraction pouring out. I just got out of a relationship, Alex. I just lost everything. And then you show up and you're perfect. You offer me everything I need right when I need it. You look at me like I hung the moon. You make me feel things I shouldn't be feeling. And I'm terrified there because... She stopped abruptly, horrified by what she'd almost said. Because? Alex's voice had gone quiet. Dangerous. Finish the sentence, Kenzie. Because I have feelings for Paul, she blurted out. I've had feelings for him for years. He's my best friend. He's safe. He's engaged to someone else, Alex finished flatly. I know that. Don't you think I know that? Tears burned her eyes. I know it's pointless. I know he doesn't see me that way. But at least with Paul, I know where I stand. At least with him, I'm not terrified that I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. Alex stepped back like she'd physically shoved him. The hurt on his face was devastating. I see. Alex, no, I get it. His voice was carefully controlled now, empty. You're in love with someone else. And I'm just, what? A distraction. A rebound. I never said that. But you meant it. He moved toward the door, and panic seized Kenzie's chest. Where are you going? To let Colin finish his work, to give you space. He paused, with his hand on the doorknob. She found him an hour later on the covered patio he'd told her about, the one perfect for watching storms. There was no storm tonight, just clear skies and cold stars and Alex sitting alone on a cushioned bench, staring at nothing. Can I join you? Kenzie asked quietly. He didn't look at her. It's your house too now. She sat on the opposite end of the bench, maintaining careful distance. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. I'm sorry, she finally said, for what I said in there. It wasn't fair. It was honest. His voice was flat. I appreciate honesty. It wasn't entirely honest. She drew her knees up to her chest. I do have feelings for Paul, but they're complicated. Alex finally looked at her, and the exhaustion in his eyes made her chest ache. I wasn't lying when I said I hired you because you're talented, but I also wasn't lying when I said you made me feel something I hadn't felt in months. Alex, let me finish. He took a breath. Paul's right. I do have a tendency to try to fix people, but I am not doing that with you. I'm just asking you to let yourself be supported instead of constantly fighting to stay above water, alone. And if I can't, if I'm too damaged, too scared, then I'll wait. The simple certainty in his voice broke something in her chest. I'll wait until you're ready, or until you're not. She couldn't speak. But I need you to be honest with me, Alex continued, about Paul, about what you're feeling, because I can't... His voice cracked. I can't be someone's second choice. I can't love someone who's wishing I was someone else. I'm not wishing that, Kenzie said immediately. When I'm with you, I forget about Paul entirely. That's what scares me. That's what terrifies me. Because these feelings, whatever this is between us, it's so intense it feels dangerous. Like I could lose myself completely. Or find yourself completely, Alex said quietly. They sat in silence, the night air cool around them. I called Paul earlier, Kenzie finally admitted. While you were meeting with Colin, I told him I needed to be more careful, that I wasn't going to let my guard down with you. I promised him I'd keep my distance. Alex nodded slowly, like he'd expected as much. And is that what you want? I don't know what I want. She hugged her knees tighter. I just know I can't handle any more chaos right now. I need things to be simple, clear, safe. Then that's what we'll be. Alex stood. Employer and employee, nothing more. Alex, it's fine, Kenzie. But his smile was sad. You need safety, and I'm anything but that. I understand. He started toward the door, and Kenzie called after him. For the record, I think you're wrong. He turned back. About what? About not being able to fix what your father did. Her voice was thick with emotion. You've spent 5 years trying to make amends, trying to help people, trying to be better than your legacy. That's not nothing, Alex. That's everything. His expression softened. Thank you for saying that. He left her there alone with the stars and her tangled thoughts and the ache of knowing she'd just hurt someone who'd done nothing but tried to protect her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Paul. Are you okay? I know I shouldn't ask, but I can't stop worrying about you. Kenzie stared at the message. Sweet, safe Paul. Who cared about her but didn't set her soul on fire? Who made her feel comfortable but not alive? She looked back at the house where Alex had disappeared. Intense, complicated Alex, who made her feel too much, who asked her to be brave, who looked at her like she was his entire world. And she realized with crystal clarity that she was lying to herself. She didn't love Paul. She was hiding behind Paul, using old, comfortable feelings as a shield against new, terrifying ones. But she wasn't ready to admit that yet. Wasn't ready to be that brave. So she texted Paul back, I'm okay. Thank you for caring. And she hated herself a little bit for cowardice. Later, Colin knocked on her bedroom door. Miss Brooks, we found something. She found Alex and Colin in the office again, gathered around the laptop, her stomach twisted with dread. What is it? Colin's expression was grim. We traced the hack on your bank account. The money was wired to an offshore account registered to a shell company, but we tracked the IP address that accessed your cloud storage. And? Alex prompted. It originated from a cafe downtown. We pulled security footage. He turned the laptop toward them. The footage showed a young man hunched over a laptop, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He was alone at a corner table, baseball cap pulled low, but when he glanced up at the camera, his face was clear. Drew. Kenzie's breath stopped. Oh my God. There's more, Colin said. He fast-forwarded the footage. Another man approached Drew's table, slid into the seat across from him. They spoke for several minutes. Drew showed him something on his laptop. Probably Kenzie's files. Probably Alex's name. The other man leaned forward, and when he turned his head, Kenzie saw his face clearly. She didn't recognize him, but Alex did. She watched all the color drain from his face, watched his hands curl into fists. Who is that? She asked. Alex's voice was hollow. Luke Brennan. His family owned a manufacturing company. 20 years ago, my father destroyed it through fraud and corporate espionage. Luke's father died by suicide when Luke was 15. His mother lost everything. He wants revenge? He wants to destroy me, Alex corrected. The same way my father destroyed his family, and he's using you to do it. On the screen, Luke and Drew were shaking hands. Colin paused the footage. Drew's hacking your accounts because he's obsessed with you. But Luke's orchestrating something bigger. He wants to take down Alex's reputation, his business, his life. And you, Miss Brooks, are caught in the middle. Kenzie looked at Alex. This is because of me, he said quietly. Because of my father. No. Kenzie surprised herself with the firmness in her voice. This is because Luke is consumed by revenge. Because Drew is obsessed and dangerous. This isn't your fault, Alex. He looked at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes nearly broke her. Isn't it? Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She opened it with shaking hands. A video file. She hit play. It showed a whiteboard covered in photos and notes. Photos of Alex, photos of Kenzie, photos of Alex's company, his house, his business associates. And in the center, written in red marker, Destroy Alex Donovan. The video ended. Kenzie's hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped her phone. Colin, I need you to document everything. Build a case. We're going to bury them. Consider it done. Alex turned to Kenzie, and the fierce protectiveness in his eyes made her heart stutter. I know you don't want to be complicated. I know you want distance and boundaries and safety. He stepped closer, his hand coming up to cup her face. But too bad. Because you're mine to protect now, whether you like it or not. And I won't give up on what's mine. The possessiveness in his voice should have scared her, should have sent her running. Instead, it made her feel safer than she had in days. "Okay," she whispered, and Kenzie knew, with absolute certainty, that she was in terrible, beautiful trouble. Episode 5. "Kenzie? Are you awake?" Alex's voice, rough with exhaustion. She opened the door to find him looking like he hadn't slept either. His hair was disheveled, dark circles shadowed his eyes, and he was still wearing the same clothes from last night. But when he saw her, something in his expression softened. "Couldn't sleep," he said. "Me either." They stood there in the doorway, the early morning light casting long shadows between them. Kenzie was acutely aware that she was in pajamas, an oversized t-shirt and shorts that suddenly felt too intimate, too revealing. "I made coffee," Alex said finally, "and I stress-baked. There are muffins, possibly inedible muffins, but the effort counts for something." Despite everything, Kenzie smiled. "You stress-bake?" "Stress cook. Stress-bake. Stress clean. I'm a mess of anxiety coping mechanisms." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Fair warning, the muffins might be more brick than pastry. I wasn't exactly following a recipe. I'll risk it." The kitchen smelled like coffee and something vaguely cinnamon-scented. 6 misshapen muffins sat cooling on the counter, their tops cracked and uneven but somehow endearing. "Okay, so they're not winning any beauty contests," Alex admitted, pouring 2 mugs of coffee. "But they're edible." "Probably." Kenzie picked one up, broke it in half. The texture was dense, but not terrible, and the flavor, cinnamon, brown sugar, maybe a hint of vanilla, was actually quite good. "These are delicious," she said, surprised. "You're lying." "I'm a chef, Alex. I know good food. These are good." She took another bite to prove her point. "Dense, but good. What recipe did you use?" "I told you, I didn't use a recipe. I just threw things together." He looked almost embarrassed. "My mom used to make muffins on Sunday mornings." I was trying to remember how they tasted. Something in Kenzie's chest tightened. She watched him take a sip of coffee, saw the exhaustion and worry etched into every line of his face, and felt that dangerous pull again. That desire to reach out, to comfort, to close the distance between them. "Stop it," she told herself. "You promised, Paul. You promised yourself." But God, it was hard. "Colin called earlier," Alex said, breaking the silence. "His team has everything, and we should have enough for a restraining order at minimum." "And at maximum?" "Criminal charges, cyber stalking, fraud, extortion." Alex's jaw tightened. "They're not going to get away with this, Kenzie. I promise you that." "What if they escalate?" she asked quietly. "What if all the security measures just make them angrier, more desperate?" "Then we deal with it." Alex set down his coffee and turned to face her fully. "I know I said I'd keep my distance, that I'd respect boundaries, but I need you to understand something. When it comes to your safety, there are no boundaries. I will do whatever it takes to protect you. Whatever it takes." She should have been intimidated by the possessiveness in his tone, should have reminded him that she wasn't his to protect, that she could take care of herself, that this level of intensity was exactly what she'd been trying to avoid. Instead, she said, "Thank you." His expression softened. "You don't have to thank me for basic human decency." "It's not basic. Drew never protected me. He controlled me, monitored me, dictated my choices, but he never actually protected me. Not like this." She swallowed hard. "So thank you for making me feel safe when everything else feels dangerous." Alex looked like he wanted to say something, to cross that distance, to pull her into his arms, to kiss her the way he'd almost kissed her last night. She could see it in the way his hands clenched at his sides, the way his gaze dropped to her mouth before jerking back up. But he'd made a promise, and Alex Donovan kept his promises. "You should eat something more substantial than a stress-baked muffin," he said instead, his voice rougher than usual. "What do you want for breakfast?" "I can cook," Kenzie started, but Alex refused. "You're not working today. Today, you rest. Let me take care of you for once." The tenderness in his words nearly broke her. "Okay, but I'm helping." They cooked together, moving around each other in a careful dance of proximity and distance. Alex scrambled eggs while Kenzie made toast. She sliced fruit while he plated everything with surprising artistry. It felt domestic, comfortable, right. And that terrified her almost as much as the threats from Drew and Luke. They ate in the dining room, the morning sun streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. For a few precious moments, Kenzie could almost pretend everything was normal, that she was just having breakfast with her, what? Employer? Friend? Something more complicated that she wasn't ready to name? I have to go into the office for a few hours. Board meeting. I can't miss. But Colin has a team watching the property, and my private number is programmed into your phone. If anything, and I mean anything, feels wrong, you call me immediately. I'll be fine. Kenzie. He waited until she met his eyes. Promise me. No brave face, no toughing it out. If you feel unsafe, you call. I promise. He nodded, satisfied. Then he did something that surprised her. He reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Just once, briefly, before pulling away. But that single touch sent electricity racing up her arm. I'll be back by 2, he said, standing. Try to rest. Read a book. Watch something mindless on TV. Just take care of yourself. I will. She walked him to the door, watched him climb into his sleek black car and drive away. And only when he was gone did she allow herself to admit the truth. She'd wanted him to stay, wanted him to cancel his meeting and spend the day with her, wanted him close in a way that had nothing to do with safety and everything to do with the way her heart raced when he looked at her. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of. These feelings, this pull, this sense that Alex Donovan was becoming essential to her in a way that felt dangerous and inevitable all at once. At noon, Kenzie was reading on the patio when her phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart jumped, but she answered. Hello? Kenzie Brooks? A woman's voice, professional and crisp. This is Detective Sarah Chen with the LAPD. I'm calling about a police report filed this morning regarding cyber stalking and financial fraud. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Relief flooded through her. Yes, of course. They talked for 20 minutes. Detective Chen was thorough, asking detailed questions about the timeline, the messages, Drew's behavior during their relationship. She confirmed that Colin had already provided the security footage and digital forensics. Based on what we have so far, we'll be bringing Mr. Morrison in for questioning this afternoon, Detective Chen said. And we're building a case against Luke Brennan as well. This is clearly coordinated harassment with intent to extort and defame. How long will it take? These cases can take time, but we have solid evidence. The hack on your bank account alone is a federal crime. Mr. Morrison is looking at serious charges. She paused. I need to warn you, though. Bringing charges might escalate things in the short term. Some perpetrators react to being caught by doubling down. You mean they might get more dangerous? It's a possibility we need to prepare for. Detective Chen's voice was kind but firm. I'd recommend staying somewhere secure for the next few weeks, somewhere with good security. I'm staying with my employer. He has excellent security. Good. Keep it that way. And Ms. Brooks, don't respond to any more messages from unknown numbers. Forward them directly to me. Don't engage. After they hung up, Kenzie sat in the garden and tried to process everything. Drew was going to be arrested. Luke was under investigation. The nightmare was being handled by professionals. So why didn't she feel relieved? Maybe because she knew Detective Chen was right. Things were about to get worse before they got better. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She almost deleted it without reading. Almost followed Detective Chen's advice. But curiosity won. Did you really think the police would stop me? How adorable. Attached was a video file. Kenzie's hands shook as she opened it. The footage showed Luke's office, or what she assumed was Luke's office. A sleek, modern space with a massive desk and wall-to-wall windows. Luke sat at the desk, and across from him sat Drew. The audio was crystal clear. She's living with him now, Drew was saying, his voice tight with jealousy. In his guest house, playing house like I never existed. Good, Luke replied. The closer she gets to him, the harder it'll hit when everything falls apart. How's the financial stuff coming? I've planted fake transactions in his company's accounts, doctored emails, created a trail that makes it look like he's been embezzling for years. Drew's smile was ugly. When the SEC investigates, they'll find enough evidence to destroy him. And the girl? Drew leaned forward. I know exactly how to break Kenzie. I spent 2 years learning every weakness, every insecurity, every fear. By the time I'm done, she won't know which way is up. The video ended. Kenzie forwarded the video to Detective Chen with shaking hands, then called Alex. He answered on the first ring. Kenzie? What's wrong? They sent another video. Drew and Luke. They're planning something bigger than we thought. They've planted false evidence in your company's financial records. They're going to make it look like you've been embezzling. Silence. Then, fuck, I'm leaving the office now. I'll be home in 30 minutes. Okay. After they hung up, Kenzie sat in the garden and tried to sort through her tangled emotions. The sound of a car in the driveway pulled her from her thoughts. Alex was home. She found him in the kitchen, tie loosened, jacket slung over one shoulder, looking exhausted and worried and beautiful. Hi, she said. Hi. He set down his jacket. Are you okay? I forwarded the video to Detective Chen. She said it's evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud. Good. He moved to the coffee maker, his movements mechanical. I also spoke with my legal team. They're auditing the company's financial records as we speak. If Drew planted false evidence, we'll find it. And if you don't find it all, if some of it slips through, then we deal with it. He turned to face her. Kenzie, I need you to understand something. These next few weeks are going to be hard. When Drew and Luke's plan goes into motion, there's going to be media coverage, investigation, public scrutiny. People are going to say terrible things about me, about us. I know. I need to know you can handle that. That you won't, he stopped, jaw working. That you won't believe the worst of me. That you would trust me. She crossed the kitchen slowly, closing the distance between them. I'm going to be honest with you. The thought of trusting you completely terrifies me. The thought of falling for you terrifies me. Because if I fall and you catch me, that's one thing. But if I fall and you don't, I'll catch you, Alex interrupted, his voice fierce. Every single time, Kenzie, I'll catch you. How can you promise that? Because I'm already falling too. He reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away and cupped her face in his hands. I've been falling since that first night I saw you, since you walked into the shower without knocking, since you stood in the kitchen and looked at me like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't beyond saving. Tears burned Kenzie's eyes. You don't have to say anything, Kenzie. You don't have to promise anything. I'm just asking you to try, to trust me one day at a time, 1 hour at a time if that's all you can manage. And if I can't, if the fear is too strong, then I'll wait. His thumbs traced her cheekbones. The last of her walls crumbled. That's all I'm asking. They stood there in the kitchen, his hands cradling her face, her hands gripping his shirt, and for the first time since this nightmare began, Kenzie felt something like hope. Then her phone rang. Detective Chen. I need to take this, Kenzie said reluctantly. Alex stepped back, but his eyes never left her face. Hello? Miss Brooks, I'm calling with an update. We brought Mr. Morrison in for questioning an hour ago. Detective Chen's voice was grim. He lawyered up immediately and refused to cooperate, but we're holding him on the bank fraud charges. That's good, right? It should be. Except, she paused. His lawyer is Harrison Wells, one of the most expensive criminal defense attorneys in LA. Mr. Morrison is unemployed. There's no way he can afford Wells's retainer. Kenzie's stomach dropped. Someone's paying for it. That's what I think too. And given the connection to Luke Brennan, I'd guess it's him. Which means they're more organized and better funded than we initially thought. What does that mean for us? It means this is going to be a long fight. But we're not backing down. Detective Chen's voice was firm. I'll be in touch soon. In the meantime, stay vigilant. After they hung up, Kenzie relayed the conversation to Alex. She watched his expression darken with every word. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Colin, I need you back at the house. We're escalating security. I want someone watching Kenzie 24/7 when I can't be with her. He listened for a moment. I don't care what it costs. Do it. When he hung up, the look in his eyes was pure steel. If they want a war with me, they'll get one. But they should have thought twice before dragging you into this. Alex, maybe we should... No. His voice was final. No backing down. No giving in. No letting them win. He crossed to her, took her hands in his. I will protect you, Kenzie, whatever it takes. Do you trust me to do that? She looked into those storm-dark eyes and made a choice. Yes, she said, I trust you. And she meant it. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. The first drops of rain began to fall, drumming against the windows. A storm was coming. But for the first time, Kenzie wasn't afraid. Episode 6. The storm that had threatened all evening finally broke around midnight. Kenzie stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her borrowed bedroom, watching lightning split the sky over Alex's estate. She should have been sleeping, should have been resting after the emotional exhaustion of the day, but her mind wouldn't quiet, spinning through everything that had happened, especially her conversation with Alex in the kitchen. The way he'd looked at her, the way he'd touched her face like she was something precious, the way her entire body had responded to his proximity. I'm already falling too. Those words had been circling her mind for hours, equal parts terrifying and thrilling. Another crack of lightning illuminated the grounds, and Kenzie saw a figure standing on the covered patio below. Even from this distance, even through the rain-blurred windows, she recognized Alex's silhouette. He was watching the storm alone. Before she could talk herself out of it, Kenzie grabbed a sweatshirt and headed downstairs. The patio was exactly as Alex had described, floor-to-ceiling glass walls on 3 sides, open to the garden on the 4th, with comfortable furniture arranged to face the storm. The sound of rain was deafening and beautiful, a percussion symphony that drowned out everything else. Alex stood at the open side, close enough to feel the spray, watching the lightning with an intensity that made her chest ache. He changed into soft-looking sweatpants and a t-shirt, and his hair was damp from the mist. He looked younger like this, more vulnerable, more human. Couldn't sleep either? Kenzie asked softly. He turned, and the surprise on his face quickly melted into something warmer. The storm woke you? Storm called me. She moved to stand beside him, careful to maintain a few inches of distance. You told me this was the perfect place to watch them. You were right. My mom used to sit out here during every storm. Rain, thunder, lightning, didn't matter. She'd bring a blanket and a book and just exist in it. His voice was soft, nostalgic. She said storms reminded her that the world was bigger than her problems, that some forces were too powerful to control, so you might as well appreciate them. She sounds like she was wise. She was. Alex smiled, but it was tinged with old grief. She would have liked you, would have appreciated your talent, your strength, your refusal to be diminished by anyone. I'm not that strong. Yes, you are. You just haven't seen it yet. He glanced at her, and even in the darkness, she could see the intensity in his eyes. You left Drew. You took a chance on a job with a stranger. You faced threats and stalking and conspiracy, and you're still here, still fighting. That's strength, Kenzie. She didn't know what to say to that. So instead, she watched the storm, letting the thunder fill the silence between them. After a while, Alex said quietly, I spoke with my legal team after you went upstairs. They found the false evidence Drew planted, doctored emails, fabricated transactions, the whole thing. Relief flooded through her. That's good, right? Can you prove it's fake? We can prove the timestamps don't match, that the metadata is forged, that the transactions never actually cleared. He ran a hand through his damp hair. But here's the problem. By the time we prove it's fake, the damage will already be done. The SEC investigation will be public. The media will run with the story. My company's reputation will take a hit that could take years to recover from. So what do? We get ahead of it. My team is preparing a statement for tomorrow morning, exposing Drew and Luke's conspiracy before they can leak their false evidence. We'll release everything. The threatening messages, the video of them planning, the forensic analysis showing the documents are forged. You're going on the offensive. I'm protecting what's mine. His eyes met hers. My company. my reputation. You. That word, mine, sent a shiver through her that had nothing to do with the rain-cooled air. I'm not yours, she said, but it came out breathless, unconvincing. Aren't you? Alex turned to face her fully, and the heat in his gaze made her breath catch. Because I've been trying to respect your boundaries, Kenzie. Trying to keep my distance, trying to be professional and appropriate in all the things you asked me to be. But standing here, watching you watch the storm like it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, I'm finding it very hard to remember why distance is a good idea. Her heart was hammering. Alex, tell me you don't feel it. He took a step closer, and she could feel the heat radiating from his body despite the cool mist. Tell me you don't think about that almost kiss in the kitchen. Tell me you don't lie awake at night wondering what would have happened if Paul hadn't shown up. I can't tell you that. The admission felt like surrender. His hand came up, fingers trailing down her arm, leaving electricity in their wake. Why are we pretending this isn't happening? She should tell him to stop. Should remember all the reasons this was complicated and dangerous and too fast. But standing there in the storm with lightning illuminating his face and thunder drowning out her fears, she couldn't remember a single one. Alex's eyes blazed. Can I? She nodded. He kissed her then, and it was nothing like the tentative, questioning almost kiss from before. This was claiming, consuming. His mouth moved over hers with desperate hunger, and she rose up on her toes to meet him, her hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. He tasted like coffee and rain and something darker, something that made her head spin and her knees weak. His tongue swept against hers, and the sound she made was embarrassingly needy. Kenzie, he breathed against her mouth, his hands sliding into her hair. God, I've been wanting to do this for days. Then don't stop, she managed, not planning on it. He backed her against one of the glass walls, the cool surface a shock against her heated skin. His hands were everywhere, her face, her hair, her waist, and each touch felt like fire. She arched into him, craving more contact, more pressure, more everything. When his mouth left hers to trail down her jaw, her neck, she gasped. Alex, tell me if I'm going too fast. His lips found the sensitive spot below her ear, and she shuddered. Tell me if you want me to slow down. Don't you dare slow down. His laugh was low and rough against her throat. I'm trying to be a gentleman here. I don't want a gentleman. She pulled his face back to hers. I want you. Something in Alex snapped. His kiss turned rougher, more demanding. His hand slid under her sweatshirt, fingers splaying across her bare ribs, and the feeling of skin on skin made her moan into his mouth. We should go inside, he said, but he didn't stop kissing her. Why? Because if we stay out here, I'm going to do things to you that the security cameras will record. She stepped back and slowly walked away. Alex's eyes went dark. You're going to be the death of me. He took her hand and led her through the rain, across the garden to the main house. They were both soaked by the time they reached his bedroom, a massive space she'd never seen before, all dark wood and masculine elegance. But she barely registered the details because Alex was kissing her again, backing her toward the bed, his hand sliding her wet sweatshirt up and over her head. She stood before him in just her thin tank top and sleep shorts, suddenly vulnerable. His gaze raked over her, hot and possessive, and she watched his jaw clench with the effort of restraint. You're so beautiful, he said roughly. Do you have any idea what you do to me? Show me, she whispered. He did. His hands skimmed up her sides, thumbs brushing the undersides of her breasts through the thin fabric of her tank top. She gasped, arching into his touch, and he made a sound low in his throat that was pure male satisfaction. I want to see all of you, he said against her mouth, but only if you're ready. Only if... She silenced him by pulling her tank top over her head. Alex's breath stopped. His eyes darkened to almost black as he took her in. Jesus, Kenzie. She felt powerful under his gaze, wanted, desired in a way Drew had never made her feel. Drew had taken what he wanted without making her feel treasured, without making her feel like she mattered beyond her utility to him. But Alex looked at her like she was art, like she was sacred. "Your turn," she said, tugging at his shirt. He pulled it off in one fluid motion, and Kenzie's mouth went dry. She'd seen him shirtless before. Hell, she'd seen him completely naked that first morning. But this was different. This was permission to touch, to explore, to claim. Her hands traced the defined muscles of his chest, his abs, the V that disappeared into his sweatpants. He shuddered under her touch, his control clearly fraying. "Kenzie," he groaned, "if you keep touching me like that, I'm not going to be able to go slow." "Then don't go slow." She looked up at him through her lashes. "I'm not fragile, Alex. I won't break." "No," he agreed, backing her onto the bed, covering her body with his. "You won't break, but I might." He kissed her again, deeper this time, and his hands explored with increasing confidence. When his fingers found the waistband of her shorts, he paused, giving her a chance to object. She lifted her hips in answer. He groaned and kissed his way down her body, her collarbone, the valley between her breasts, her stomach. And Kenzie felt like she was burning from the inside out. Every touch ignited nerve endings she thought were dead. Every kiss made her crave more. "Alex," she gasped. "Please." "Please what?" His voice was wicked. "Tell me what you need. You. I need you. You have me." His hand slid between her thighs, and the sensation made her cry out. "You've had me since that first night, Kenzie. You just didn't know it yet." The pleasure built slowly, torturously, until she was writhing beneath him, desperate for release. And when it finally crashed over her, his name on her lips, he held her through it, whispering praise against her skin. "So beautiful," he murmured. "So perfect. So mine." Mine. That word again. And this time, she didn't argue. When she finally caught her breath, she pulled him up to kiss her, tasting herself on his lips, and reached for his sweatpants. "Kenzie, I want all of you," she said firmly. "No holding back, no restraint. I want everything." His eyes blazed. "Are you sure?" What happened next was a blur of tangled bodies, gasping breaths, and whispered words. Alex was everywhere, above her, around her, inside her, and Kenzie felt like she was finally, truly alive for the first time in years. When they finally collapsed together, both trembling and spent, the storm was still raging outside. But inside, wrapped in Alex's arms, Kenzie felt perfectly at peace. "Stay," Alex murmured against her hair. "Tonight, tomorrow, forever." She should have been terrified by the word forever, should have been thinking about boundaries and caution and taking things slow. Instead, she whispered, "Okay." Kenzie woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the warm weight of Alex's arm around her waist. For a moment, panic seized her. What had she done? They'd crossed every line, shattered every boundary. This was her boss, her employer, the man whose life was currently under siege by a vengeful conspiracy. But then Alex stirred beside her, his hand tightening on her hip, and he murmured sleepily, "Stop overthinking. I can practically hear your thoughts from here." Despite her anxiety, she smiled. "How do you know I'm overthinking?" "Because I know you." He pressed a kiss to her shoulder. "And because you're radiating panic like a beacon." "I'm not panicking." Liar. But his voice was warm. He pulled her closer, tucking her against his chest. "For the record, I have zero regrets about last night. None. We crossed about 17 different professional boundaries. Good. They were stupid boundaries anyway." He nuzzled her neck. "You're not just my employee, Kenzie. You never were. And after last night, I'm definitely not letting you go." "Possessive much?" "Completely. Is that a problem?" She thought about it. About Drew's possessiveness, which had been suffocating and controlling, and about Alex's, which felt protective and grounding. The difference was choice. Alex made her feel possessed in the best way, claimed but not trapped, wanted but not owned. "No," she said softly. "It's not a problem." "Good." He kissed her temple. "Now, as much as I'd love to stay in this bed with you all day, we have a press conference to prepare for. My team is releasing our statement about Drew and Luke's conspiracy at noon. Reality crashed back in. Right. The war. Alex sat up, and Kenzie admired the view shamelessly. But after we handle this, after we've destroyed their plan and cleared my name, we're taking a vacation, somewhere tropical, somewhere with no cell service and no security cameras and no psychotic exes. That sounds perfect. He leaned down and kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. You should shower. I'll make coffee. The press conference was scheduled for noon, which gave them 3 hours to prepare, but Kenzie felt utterly out of her depth. This was Alex's world. High-stakes corporate warfare, media management, legal maneuvering. She was just a chef who'd gotten caught in the crossfire. Colin glanced at Kenzie. The question is how much of Miss Brooks's involvement we disclose. The media will want to know why she's being targeted. Kenzie's stomach twisted. What do you mean? We need to explain your connection to Alex. One of the lawyers, Patricia something, said gently. Otherwise, the narrative becomes billionaire chef caught in scandal, which isn't helpful to anyone. So, what's the alternative? We're transparent. We explain that you're Alex's private chef, that you've been targeted because Drew is your ex-boyfriend, and that you're cooperating fully with law enforcement. Patricia's expression was kind. It's not ideal, but it protects you from speculation. Speculation? Kenzie echoed. About whether you're complicit, whether you knew about the forged documents, whether you're... Patricia hesitated. Whether you're romantically involved with Alex. Heat flooded Kenzie's face. Is that relevant? To the case? No. To public perception? Absolutely. Patricia's gaze was shrewd. People are going to wonder. They're going to look at a beautiful young woman living on her wealthy employer's estate and draw conclusions. Then let them draw conclusions, Alex said firmly. Kenzie's personal life is none of their business. With respect, Alex, everything becomes their business when you're embroiled in a corporate scandal. Patricia turned to Kenzie. I need to ask, are you and Alex involved? Kenzie's heart hammered. They'd crossed that line last night, thoroughly and irrevocably. But admitting it publicly felt too raw, too soon. Yes, Alex interrupted, we are. Everyone in the room turned to stare at him. Sir, Patricia said carefully, from a PR standpoint, that complicates things significantly. I don't care, Alex said. If people want to speculate, let them. But Kenzie is not going to be collateral damage in this war. Patricia exchanged glances with the other lawyers. Then we need to adjust our strategy. Kenzie wanted to hug him, wanted to drag him from this room and show him exactly how much his fierce protectiveness meant to her. But Colin was pulling up something new on his laptop, his expression grim. We have another problem. Of course we do, Alex muttered. What now? The story leaked. Someone tipped off the media before our press conference. Colin turned his laptop to show them. It's already trending. Kenzie leaned forward and read the headline on the screen. Tech executive Alex Donovan accused of embezzlement. Former chef claims fraud, manipulation. Her blood ran cold. Former chef? They're making it sound like you're accusing him, Colin confirmed. Someone leaked fake evidence and falsely attributed it to you. But I would never. We know. Alex's voice was tight. This is Luke's work. He's trying to turn us against each other. Make Kenzie look like she betrayed me. Make me look like I victimized her. Divide and conquer. It's already working. Patricia was scrolling through her phone, her expression darkening. Social media is exploding. Half the comments are calling Kenzie a gold digger. The other half are calling Alex a predator. This is a disaster. Kenzie felt sick. This was exactly what Drew and Luke had wanted, to destabilize her, to make her doubt Alex, to turn their relationship into a liability. We move up the press conference, Alex decided. Now, immediately, before this narrative takes hold. Alex, we're not ready. We don't have time to be ready. He stood, his jaw set with determination. Colin, call the media contacts. Tell them we're making a statement in 30 minutes. Patricia, draft talking points. Focus on the conspiracy. the fabricated evidence, the police investigation. Make it clear that Kenzie is a victim here, not a conspirator. Kenzie sat frozen, watching it all unfold, feeling utterly out of control. Alex crouched in front of her, taking her hands. "Hey, look at me." She met his eyes, and the steadiness there anchored her. "This is going to get ugly," he said quietly. "People are going to say terrible things about both of us. But I need you to remember something. We know the truth. The truth always wins eventually. What if it doesn't? It will." His smile was grim. "I've been preparing for this fight for 5 years. Luke Brennan wants to avenge his father? Fine. But he chose the wrong target. 'Cause I'm not my father. I don't cut and run when things get difficult. I fight." A knock on the door interrupted them. One of Alex's assistants poked her head in. "The media is assembling. We'll leave in 20 minutes. "Sure," Alex said. After she left, he turned back to Kenzie. "You don't have to be there. I can do this press conference alone." "No." Kenzie stood, drawing on reserves of courage she didn't know she had. "If we're in this together, then we face it together. I'm not hiding." Pride flickered across Alex's face. "Are you sure?" "I'm terrified, but I'm sure." The press conference was brutal. Cameras flashed incessantly as Alex stood at a podium in his office building, Kenzie beside him, and his legal team flanking them. The room was packed with reporters, all of them shouting questions before Alex even began speaking. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," Alex said, his voice steady and commanding. "I'm here to address the allegations that were leaked to the media this morning. Allegations that are entirely false and part of a coordinated conspiracy to damage my reputation and my company." More shouting. Alex held up a hand for silence. 3 weeks ago, my private chef, Kenzie Brooks, began receiving threatening messages. Someone had hacked her bank accounts, her cloud storage, and her personal files. We reported this to law enforcement, who traced the hacking to Drew Morrison, Ms. Brooks's ex-boyfriend. He pulled up the evidence on the screen behind him, screenshots of the messages, the video of Drew and Luke planning together, the forensic reports. A reporter shouted, "Mr. Donovan, what's your relationship with Ms. Brooks?" Alex didn't hesitate. "Ms. Brooks is my private chef. She's also someone I care about deeply. But our relationship, whatever form it takes, is not relevant to this case. What's relevant is that she's been victimized by 2 men with a vendetta, and I will not allow that victimization to continue." "Is it true you're embezzling from your own company?" another reporter yelled. "No, it's not true. Every document Luke and Drew fabricated has been analyzed by forensic accountants and proven to be forged. The timestamps don't match, the metadata is falsified, and the transactions never actually occurred." Alex's voice hardened. "I'm not my father. I don't engage in fraud or manipulation, and I will not be destroyed by lies. What about the allegations that you hired Miss Brooks to—" "Miss Brooks is a talented chef who I hired because of her skills. Period." Alex's tone left no room for argument. Any insinuation otherwise is defamatory and will be met with legal action. Kenzie watched him command the room with a mixture of awe and anxiety. After 20 minutes of questions, Patricia called an end to the press conference. But as they were leaving, one reporter shouted a final question that made Kenzie's blood freeze. "Mr. Donovan, do you have any comment on the allegations that Miss Brooks is pregnant with your child?" Kenzie stopped dead. "What?" Alex's hand found hers immediately. "Ignore it," he muttered. "Just another lie." But the damage was done. The reporters erupted with questions, cameras flashing even more frantically, voices overlapping in chaos. Patricia pushed them through the crowd toward the elevators. "Don't respond, don't engage, this is bait." They made it to Alex's office, and the moment the door closed, Kenzie collapsed into a chair. "Pregnant? Where the hell did that come from?" Colin was already on his laptop. Social media. An anonymous account posted supposed evidence 20 minutes ago. Doctored photos of you at a pharmacy. Fake screenshots of pregnancy test purchases. It's all fabricated, but it's spreading fast. "Jesus Christ," Alex breathed. "It gets worse." Colin turned his screen toward them. Someone leaked your home address and Kenzie's family information. Your mother's nursing home, Kenzie. Her room number. Horror washed over Kenzie. My mother? They're threatening my mother? We're getting her moved immediately, Alex said, already pulling out his phone. Security detail, new facility, everything. They're not touching her. But Kenzie barely heard him. The room was spinning. Her mother, the one person who'd always been there, always believed in her, was now in danger because of her. Because she dared to leave Drew. Because she dared to work for Alex. Because she dared to want something better. This is my fault, she whispered. No. Alex was in front of her immediately, gripping her shoulders. This is Drew's fault, Luke's fault, not yours. But if I hadn't left him, if I hadn't taken this job, then you'd still be miserable and trapped, and he'd have found some other way to hurt you. His eyes burned into hers. You did nothing wrong, Kenzie. You hear me? Nothing. She wanted to believe him, but the weight of guilt was crushing. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She almost didn't look, almost handed it straight to Colin. But something made her open it. The message was simple, just one sentence and an attached photo. Last chance to walk away, or everyone you love pays the price. The photo showed her mother, asleep in her nursing home bed, taken from inside her room. Someone had been there, inside the facility, inside her mother's room while she slept. Kenzie's vision tunneled. Her breath came in short gasps. The phone slipped from her numb fingers. Kenzie? Alex's voice sounded far away. Kenzie. He picked up the phone. Read the message. And the fury that crossed his face was terrifying. Get her mother out of there, he barked at Colin. Now! I don't care if you have to airlift her. Get her out! Already on it, Colin said, phone to his ear. Alex pulled Kenzie into his arms, but she couldn't feel it. Couldn't feel anything except the icy terror flooding her veins. They'd gotten to her mother, had been in her room, could have heard her. This is my fault, she said again, her voice hollow. I brought this into her life. Stop. Alex's voice was firm. Listen to me very carefully, Kenzie. This is not your fault. This is Drew and Luke being monsters. And they will pay for this. I promise you, they will pay. But his promises felt empty against the evidence of that photo. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. The press conference was cute. But did you really think you could beat us? Sleep well, Kenzie, if you can.